Have you ever tried so much that you just can't try anymore? You feel like your life is getting worse and worse and that you're beyond burnout? I have a solution for you that absolutely will work. You've probably heard the usual advice of take a break, go on vacation, don't work so hard. And I'm going to tell you right now that that absolutely does not work. Why it is that we feel this way? What makes us feel so burnt out and like life is hopeless and it's just going downhill? The secret is in human motivation. How would you feel about doing cardio for 8 hours straight? Doesn't seem like a great thing. Doesn't seem like a lot of fun, right? I remember back in the day, this was a while ago. This was like 10 or maybe 15 years ago. I remember there was this game that came out. It was called DDR. Dance Dance Revolution, right? You had these little pads, you hooked it up to your video game system, and you'd step on the arrows, right? And I remember getting this game and getting one of those little pads. And I remember the first time I got this game, I played that game literally for about 3 days, pretty much nonstop for 8 hours a day. I mean, I was sweating my ass off. I don't know how many calories I was burning, and I was doing a lot of cardio, but I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it at all. I was having fun. I wanted to do more of it. Okay, this is not an experience that you usually have when you're doing cardio. When I go for a run, I certainly don't feel like I need to keep on running and running more. What happened there was that I was motivated because I felt the sense of growth. Because what happens in DDR, okay? In that game, you get a score, okay? And you can improve, and you can keep on improving that score, and you go up in levels, and you gain experience basically as you master certain songs, and you're testing yourself. That idea of growth, okay? That feeling of growth is what kept me motivated, and that's the key here as to why you get demotivated, why you feel burnt out, why you feel like you just can't try anymore. It's not actually what you're doing, but it's the context of what you put around it, and that's what we're going to be talking about. The first solution is what I call resetting the high water mark. Think about maybe like a river or something. If you've ever seen a high water mark, right? If you've ever, especially in a drought time, where you can see where the water had risen up, right? I remember going to a dam one time and seeing like the dam was pretty low in water, but I remember seeing this really high water mark, and I was like, wow, can you imagine what this dam would look like if the water were up here? And in life, we have these high water marks, okay? Maybe it's, if you've ever seen Napoleon Dynamite, Uncle Rico, right? Where he was in high school and he used to be a quarterback or whatever. That was his high water mark of his life, right? Maybe your high water mark was when that time you were really shredded for the beach, or, that time you had hair, or whatever it is, right? Where you were super productive, or you're making lots of money, or whatever it was, okay? And that's your high water mark. And what ends up happening is that we end up comparing ourselves. What we do is we beat ourselves up, and we feel like we're not making progress because we compare ourselves to the best we've ever been, or worse yet, even someone else's high water mark. That can make things even worse. What we have to do is we have to reset that. We have to reset the high water mark. What you need to do is you need to start fresh, okay? So you need to basically, again, like I said, reset the high water mark. You need to say, okay, wherever I'm at right now, that's the beginning. That's the high water mark now. And every step I make forward in progress, that is the new high water mark, and that will motivate you. It'll give you that sense of motivation as opposed to comparing yourself where you're not going to feel motivated. This works for a lot of different things. So think about gamblers, right? If you've ever lost money, okay, in a casino, I have, all right? What ends up happening, what's the deal that you make with God, right? You're like, if I could just get back to even, I would just let me get back to even. And so you're just trying to get back to even. And what happens when you're trying to get back to even? You make more stupid bets, you take more money out of the ATM, and you go deeper in the hole. It happens, okay? Stock market, same thing. If I could just get back to even. So you make stupid choices, and you're just trying to make money real quick so you can get back to even, all right? And you feel bad, even if you're doing well, right? Even if you're gambling and you're making some money back, because you lost, because you're in the hole, you feel bad, even though you're doing good now. Same thing with stock market or investing. I have experienced this lately, right? So with all the events that have been happening this year in 2020, I lost a lot of money in the markets. I got smashed by certain things that happened. just bad timing, okay? I shouldn't have had the money where I was waiting to buy a real estate investment. I've talked about this in some of my other videos, so I'm not going to go into the detail here. But anyway, I got smashed, all right? And so what I had to do immediately was reset the high watermark and say, okay, well, that's gone. And now the investment choices I make, the solid investments I make, I'm going to grow on those things, and I'm going to be excited about those gains as opposed to comparing them to the losses that I had suffered before. And you just have to get into the habit of doing that. Otherwise, I'll be distraught. I could be walking around all day, be like, oh shit, I'm never going to be back to where I was. It's no good, and I'm making progress, but all that progress will feel like nothing if I'm comparing it to where I was. So you got to reset the high watermark. Next technique you can use here is what I call a context shift. It's a technique that I use all the time to gamify things or change the frame at which I look at the world. At any given time, you can change the frame, the way that you see the world. We can change that perspective so that we can see something differently if we want to, and that's what a context shift is. I do coaching for men, right? I do some live coaching in dealing with women and really overcoming approach anxiety. When I'm coaching a guy on overcoming approach anxiety, this is what I do, okay? I basically change the goal on them. So they think the goal is to get a phone number or not get rejected or to have success with that woman in some way. But I change it, and I change the goal to be putting yourself in a difficult situation so you'll get stronger. So that becomes the goal. It's a context shift. Okay, so think about the frame. They're looking at things from the frame of, all right, I have to go up and talk to this girl, and hopefully she likes me, and I get a phone number, or I go out with her, or I make out with her, whatever it is, right? They're trying to, that's the frame that they're looking at. But I change the frame and I say, here's your new frame, here's a new goal. We're going to look at this from the lens of you just need to get yourself into a difficult situation. That's it, because it's going to make you stronger. Now that motivates them because now they're like, oh wow, okay, that's something that they can do, and it helps them to overcome that approach anxiety because they can succeed at that every single time. Every single time you go up to some girl that you're afraid to talk to and you do it, you have put yourself in a difficult situation and you've gained some strength because you've actually done it, and so you're making progress. Again, this comes down to making progress, so you're motivated and you're going to overcome that approach anxiety a lot easier than if the stakes are she has to like you, you're facing rejection, all of those things from that frame. Let me tell you how you can apply this, because you might be like, well, how does this help me with burnout and feeling like I'm unmotivated and feeling like my life is hopeless and I just can't try anymore? Well, let's take an instance of something that I encounter a lot of times when I'm doing career coaching, which is your job sucks. Consider a shitty job. Maybe you've got a shitty boss. Stoicism training, okay? You want to be a stoic? You want to build some emotional mastery and some resilience? Okay, instead of thinking of your job as a challenge and think of it as a bad thing, that it sucks, think of it as a good thing. It's great. It's awesome. This is training. Every day you go into work and your boss is a jerk and he's yelling at you, and you can be like, all right, this is hardening me. I'm becoming strong, okay? And you can change that. And so it's the same thing here. Again, whatever it is, I don't know what it is that's making you feel burnt out in particular, or making you feel like you just can't try anymore, but you change the game. You do a context shift and you make it. By the way, now is a great time to smash the like button and click subscribe while you're at it. So let's talk about my poker story. So I used to play a lot of poker. What ended up happening was I started putting instead of winning money, I was putting like a couple $100 on my account every month in order to play. And I got to this point where I was like, you know what, John? Enough. That's enough. All right, you're done with this. Stop doing this. This is stupid. What I did was I said, all right, you're not putting any more money on. Okay, in fact, I think I had 10 cents on my account. And I said, all right, you're going to have to deal with 10 cents. This is all you have. Okay, this is the new challenge, is you have to take this 10 cents and you can only have this 10 cents and you cannot add any more money to your account. All right, so if you want to play poker, you got to play with 10 cents. All right, and I forced myself to do that. Instead of trying to make a lot of money and trying to get back to where I was, it's now, okay, here's a new challenge. What can you do with 10 cents? It's not good. Like, if you win some money, it's not going to be beneficial. Let's say I double it to 20 cents. Big deal, okay? So now I've got 10 cents. So my shift stopped being about making the money, and it was more about the challenge. What's the challenge of working with limited resources, and what can you do? I started playing 1 cent, 2 cent poker, and I played super conservative, okay? And I needed a little bit of luck to get my money up a little bit, but people were playing like shit over there, so it was pretty easy. So eventually I grew it. I grew it up to 20 cents. I grew it up to 50 cents. And I kept on playing like 1, 2 cent while I was at 50 cents on my account because I didn't want to take any risks there. And so I grew it, and then I eventually went up to 2 cent, 4 cent poker, okay? And I kept on going, and within a couple of months, I kid you not, I had over $10,000 on my account. I started doing tournaments once I could, and I was playing dollar tournaments, and I was playing $10 tournaments, and then eventually I was playing $100 tournaments, and I was winning, and that's what happened. I felt motivated the whole time. It got me out of the rut, okay? When I was losing the money, all right, and I was putting money on my account, I felt like shit. I felt unmotivated. But once I started playing with 10 cents, because I reset the high watermark, and because I did this context shift, it was all of a sudden a new game, a new challenge, and improved my skill level, and it made me feel good about it. And I actually was motivated, and I started being successful and started playing how I should. I know this is hard. And believe me, I'm going through this myself right now. Like I said, there's some shit happened with me losing some money in the market. Business is down. Like I said, real estate, some people are not paying rent. Basically, my ships are on fire, okay? But I'm making a game, like I said, out of putting out the fires and building new ships. I'm building a new fleet. This is the game now, to see what can I do in these challenging situations, these challenging times, right? I'm not playing the old game of growing the existing fleet, because that's not a game that makes sense right now. It's not going to be very motivating getting your nuts kicked in every day, okay? Instead, let's play this new game. If you want some help and some support, go check out the Bulldog Mindset membership. I've got a link here. I've got a link below. Right now I'm letting you get in for a cheaper price. You can do a trial for the first month for just $7. So go click that link and go try it out. And I will talk to you next time. Take care.